Create effective discussions online. A 4-step guide. This tutorial will cover 6 topics about an engaging discussion board design. Discussion board structure, due date strategies, sample instruction prompt, 4 stage of discussions, 4 facilitation strategies, discussion board rubrics. Discussion board structure. Imagine your discussion board as a huge conference. Discussion forum you will create are conference rooms focusing on different topics. And you can pace your discussion forums throughout your semesters by assigning each forum for each week. To structure each discussion forum, in addition to your weekly topic-based discussion forum, you can actually carve out a forum space for students to discuss non-topic focused and course-related questions. We call it Student Lounge. In this lounge, students will post any course-related topics. They can post questions and invite peers or instructors to reply with answers to the questions. You can tell them that you will be monitoring this forum and answer any unanswered questions about the course or address some in your weekly announcement. For the weekly topic-based discussion forums, you can ask each student to create a new thread or new post in the forum. This will help you to quickly see how many of the students have created their initial posts. For example, if you have 15 students, you will see 15 threads or posts. Then ask students to comment on each other's posts. You will be able to see their reply posts in reply section under each thread or post. Additionally, if you want your student to reflect and post their initial thread or post first before viewing other people's posts, you can design your discussion forum into a post-first forum where students will be able to create their posts before being able to see others' posts and perspectives. In terms of due date, it is recommended to set 2 separate due dates. The first due date is for students to post their initial thread or post. The second due date is for their comments. In addition, rather than first asking students to comment on 3 or more posts, it is better to ask them to create a high-quality comment on 1 or 2 posts. This will help prevent some busy work for the students. In order to support a student in the process of creating high-quality post or comment, you need to be as specific, as structured in your instructions as possible to scaffold this creative process. We will talk about a sample instruction prompt text next. Sample instruction prompt. Sample instruction prompt includes 3 parts: brief introductions, initial post instructions and due date, reply post instructions and due date. Brief introduction. Here is a sample writing for your brief introduction, thanks to Dr. Chris Markle. In this unit, we've covered several factors related to good provider-patient communication. For this discussion, you will apply those theoretical concepts to real-life experiences with a healthcare provider. The discussion will be completed in 2 parts. You must fully complete both parts to earn credit. Original post instructions and due dates. Part 1. Original post. Think about an interaction you've had with a healthcare provider that you were unsatisfied with. Describe the nature of that interaction, why you were dissatisfied, and relate it to the materials that we've covered in the patient-provider communication. Focus on characteristics of the interaction itself, not your personal medical information. Your original post should be a minimum of 150 words. This paragraph is approximately 80 words for comparison. Then, you can add Part 1 due Friday, April 3rd at 11:59 p.m. Reply instructions and due date. Part 2. Comment on at least 3 of your classmates' posts. Your comments should go beyond simply saying you agree or disagree with the post. They should further the conversation in some way through any of the followings. Identifying additional course-related materials that you think is relevant. Suggesting other ways the provider could have acted. And/or suggest how patient might advocate for themselves in a similar situation. Other similar comments are acceptable as well. The length of your comment is less important than the meaningfulness of your response. Then you can add a due date here. Part 2, due Monday, April 6th at 11:59 p.m. In order to have an engaging online discussion experience, we need to first understand the 4 stages students go through in an effective online discussion experience. Stage 1. Community and expectations. Stage 2. Initial reflections. Stage 3. Collective intelligence. And the final stage, final reflections. Stage 1. Community and expectations. It is a beginning stage where, as an instructor, you can lay all the expectations, rules, and tones in a discussion board. You can provide a detailed expectation statement at the beginning of your discussion question. Having the foundational rules and expectations early on will help build a healthy sense of online community. So make sure to spend the initial 10 to 20 minutes in your online class to talk about all those rules, expectations, in order to create a safe and engaging communities for your student in a discussion board. Stage 2. Initial reflections. Once we have set the rules and expectations, it is time for students to post their initial reflections. Ask them to post their initial response based on personal experiences and the readings by a due date. As students start to share their responses, you can set a specific time of the week to tune in and observe how they're doing. Since your students will not see you often online, providing detailed feedback is a very good way to make them feel that you care and you're engaged in their conversations. Your responses can also help scaffold their thinking into a much deeper level. And if you really wanted to encourage authenticity or originality in their post, make sure that you put your discussion room as a post-first forum, as mentioned before. In order to spark their initial thinking process, it is important to think about the strategies to ask the first question. And there are 10 different question types that you can use for your initial question. First, explanation. Ask learners to use their own words to explain a particular process or concept, and then connect the dots between the concept and real-world scenarios. For example, when learners are dealing with complicated concept, explanation question enables you to find out whether the students can comprehend the key learning concept and then apply them to real-world cases. Application and comparison. Ask learners to not only apply what they have learned to the current case, but also compare and contrast various themes, ideas, procedures, and issues based on that comprehension. For example, when learners have to deal with a collection of similar concepts or issues, application and comparison questions can help learners to fine-tune their comprehension at a deeper level. Cause and effect. In order to problem solve, ask a student to analyze cause and effect relationships in general or specific issues. For example, when your later goal is to enable students to problem solve, cause and effect questions serves as a scaffolding technique to direct learners to analyze a potential problem from a root cause level. Hypothetical. After a round of analysis, post a change in the facts or issues. Then ask the students to predict consequences. For example, if you want to test whether or not the learners have truly understand the interrelationship between various elements in a concept or issue, hypothetical question enables learners to test their comprehension and analytical skills. Challenge. Ask students to reflect on an issue related to nursing leadership, for example. Conduct research and form an opinion on the issue. Priority. When you pose a challenge type of questions with various mixed issues, ask students to identify the most important issues to analyze. For example, if students are dealing with topics that have a big scope and have a lot of mixed issues, ask priority questions to help scaffold the critical thinking process for your student. Evaluation and diagnostic. First, propose an incorrect solution to a problem, then ask your student, analyze the problem, identify the mistakes or the problem with the proposed solution. Solve the problem with the correct steps. For example, when there are many common issues or inappropriate approaches in a given industry and a change of practice are needed, evaluative and diagnostic questions exposes learners to the real world and encourage them to think critically and solve a problem to demonstrate the impact of their newly acquired knowledge and skills. Action. After students have evaluated and diagnosed the problem and the potential solutions, ask the learners what they would do in order to implement the solutions in the real world, and that bridge the gap between knowing and doing. Extension. As you conclude one topic for the discussion, ask students to raise questions and topics in a new era. For example, if you want a student to be an active learner of life beyond the classroom by continuously transferring learning into the real world, extension questions encourage them to think beyond the scope of classroom and motivate them to be an active learner when the class ends. Summary and reflection. Ask students to summarize and reflect on concepts and ideas, perspectives of their own or others, learnings occurred during the process. As you guide the student through the various elements of a problem or learning milestones, ask summary and reflective questions to help students consolidate their learning periodically and move toward their next learning goals. Stage 3. Collective intelligence. Once everyone have posted their initial response and maybe updated a few based on your feedback, it is time for them to learn from each other. There are two ways you can get the engagement going. One way is through collaboration. The other way is through constructive argument. For collaboration, you can encourage the student to build upon each other's thought. The process can go from validating part of the thought, provide a deeper view to further expand the thinking. For constructive argument, you can encourage the student to first find the common grounds, then point out the differences, and use a new viewpoint with supportive evidence. No matter which route you decide to take, the ultimate purpose for this stage is to expose students to multiple perspectives and negotiate the new understandings. Stage 4. Final reflections. After going through the collective intelligence stage, students would have expanded their perspectives by further building upon their original ideas or by revising them. At this stage, you can present a reflective thinking task by asking them questions like, what I thought initially, why I thought it this way, what did others say that furthered my perspectives, what did others say that revised my perspectives. Now, what do I think? Facilitation strategies. In terms of facilitation strategies, there are 4 types. Recognize to validate. Recognize good points made by students, help validate their expressions, and encourage further participation. Redirect to ground. When discussion go to a dead end or digress too much, summarize student contributions and redirect their attention to the key topics using questions. Counsel to motivate. Be alert with students who tend to disappear, not actively reading or posting, or who express frustrations. Email them individually to counsel and bring them back to speed. Scaffold to reflect. Provide scaffolding questions and learning materials to guide students through various levels of cognitive process in order to reach their own conclusions and explore new ideas. Specifically, for recognize to validate, you can say, you made a very good point here by citing this report. You raised a very good question here. How about do a little bit more research on X to further enhance your argument? Redirect to ground. Examples. I see a really good point here. Since we're talking about the impact of the aging, what would be the impact for them? Or you can say, I agree that meditation alleviates stress. How about the role of active communication based on your readings of this chapter? Counsel to motivate. You can say, I haven't seen you posting on the discussion board. Is there anything you need from me to support you? Or you can say, I love reading your comments. I look forward to reading more of them. Let me know if there's anything you need from me to support you. Scaffold to reflect. You can say, what do you observe in nursing leadership? Why do you think there is a lack of leadership? What do you think is the reason? What solutions do you suggest? Why is this solution better than others? In terms of rubric, you can use it to not only measure the quality of posts created by the students, you can also use it as an effective scaffold device to guide students through their creative process. You can either use a simple version. It measures various levels of post qualities. It ranges from uninterested, slightly integrated, well integrated, and exceptional. And this is an example to measure the quality of argument, and you can design your own benchmark for your own assignment. Or you can use a very comprehensive rubric to guide the process. For example, you measure the quality of post, the relevance of the post, the contribution to learning community. And then you can range different levels of satisfactories for each of the benchmarks. This concludes the tutorials how to create effective discussion board, a 4-step guide.